Who's ready for some mental gymnastics? Ryan, I know you are.
I love it.
And on this theory of a lab leak, I've been wondering this. Do we have any idea how that would even work? Have you heard any accounts as to how that might have happened? Is there speculation in the scientific community as to how that happened?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Jim. So one of the things that people maybe don't fully appreciate, that all of the intelligence agencies agree unanimously that this was not engineered. Namely, they didn't deliberately do this to make a bioweapon. Everybody agrees with that. No matter what your prior thoughts were, everybody agrees with that. A lab leak could be that someone was out in the wild, maybe looking for different types of viruses in bats, got infected, went into a lab, and was being studied in the lab, and then it came out of the lab. But if that's the definition of a lab leak, Jim, then that still is a natural occurrence. The other possibility is someone takes a virus from the environment that doesn't actually spread very well in humans and manipulates it a bit, and accidentally it escapes or accidentally infects someone, and then you get an outbreak. Those are the possibilities when you're talking about lab leaks.
But are there any accounts of that occurring where one might say, okay, well, there we go. Perhaps this is it. This is what happened.
No.
That you're aware of.
In fact, there are no lab leaks that have led to pandemics. So there have been accidents in a lab that happens intermittently. We've had experiences with that in modern times recently, but there have never been a situation where a virus escaped from a lab that's a brand new virus that no one has ever seen before that led to a pandemic. That has not happened.
I thought the COVID virus was a variant of the SARS virus, which we've had during the Obama administration.
Yes, correct.
And I also love that he literally just greenlit like every science fiction fucking movie in one little soundbite there at the end.
I like that he starts off by defining what a lab leak is.
Yeah, and we, like, bare minimum, it was always a possibility that it accidentally escaped the lab.
Which is all we've ever said.
Yeah, and it was only when you were like, no, that's impossible, that you're like, well, wait a minute. And then you're like, no, China's only bolting the door shut on the facility and not allowing anybody from NATO to conduct a scientific experiment on the gain of function fucking research lab.
There was no gain of function research. To be clear, we always said, listen, all I'm saying is, I'm not saying the meat market thing and the bat sandwich and all this shit wasn't possible. What I'm saying was, it came from the lab where they were studying the virus. It leaked out of the lab to the meat market, to the bat sandwich, right? Somebody ate the bat sandwich, then they got it, and then it spread like hell. I'm not saying it's impossible either, but I'm not saying China engineered this biochemical to inflict war on the world. Maybe they did. It's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is they were studying this fucking virus a block away from the meat market, and oh no, there's a bat sandwich with viruses.
It's crazy to think people in caves in the early 2000s were sending us chemical warfare packages through the mail, but the Chinese with a lab that has gain-of-function research capabilities isn't weaponizing a bioweapon to unleash on the world.
That we were funding.
It's also interesting that he said it's never happened before, but then I always got to hear about how Christopher Columbus put smallpox on fucking blankets and gave them to Native Americans and it killed everybody. Pick one!
Pandemics have never come in that kind of way. Except for Columbus killing the natives.
Once in a lifetime pillaging.
Before anyone understood virology at all, they were like, oh yeah, except for Columbus, who somehow knew more about viruses than people these days. He was infecting blankets and handing them out.
Yeah, I don't know how I got to put those things together, but I'll tell you. It's
accurate, though. Also AIDS.
Yeah, people are insane. This guy is insane. This guy is literally a pathological liar. This isn't like speculation, YouTube. This is fact. This guy lied to Rand Paul in front of Congress.
Lying to Congress?
In front of me.
Isn't that an offense, Ryan?
Yeah, here's the thing that pisses me off when we're like, oh, he lied to Congress. No, he lied to the American people. Who is the government? We the people are the government, not Congress. We elect the person that asked him the questions.
Well, yes, but he was unelected, so it's fine.
Fucking lied right to my face. No, and then I'm gonna trust him. He's gonna be a CNN anchor in the next pandemic again.
No, he'll work for the World Health Organization or
the TikTok. Reason. He'll work for TikTok to combat fucking
Chief
medical
virologist.
Jesus, the TikTok czar of health.
Thank you for tuning into the sexiest man alive. No, he did. He lied directly to Rand Paul. Rand Paul said, "Are we funding gain-of-function research?" There's no funding of gain-of-function research. And then Rand Paul's like, "Hey, how about these emails we found that says you're funding it?" He's like, "No."
Too bad Elon didn't buy Twitter then before that whole thing happened.
Did you see? Man, what's their names? Matt Taibbi and what was the one other one? Matt Schellenberger, maybe. They both got questioned by Congress over the Twitter files. I'm sorry, you're questioning the wrong people. You're mad at us for reporting that you were colluding with social media? Excuse me? Anyways, not to go off the rails.
These people are, this guy's a pathological liar. And once again, it was always a possibility. Anybody that has ever read anything that's remotely conspiracy or a science fiction thriller or a freaking movie like I, Robot, anybody with half an IQ could know that it is possible that this came from the lab that was very close. It doesn't mean you're right, Dr. Fauci, but then I love how you just slit the military shit in there like, no one said this was engineered. No one's asking you if it's engineered, Fauci. That guy did not say.
Yeah, you have a guilty conscience, Fauci.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, this is lying by omission. This guy's
the funny thing is we were always told how easy it was to contract this virus and how communicable it was, right? It spread so easily, but it couldn't have possibly left the doors of a virology lab.
Dave, I seen one article back 3 years ago to flatten the curve now. It lived on your shoes for days. Like, probably everything lives on your shoes.
Yeah, the shit they came up with when this first came out. It can live on surfaces for up to 7 years. It's like, fuck off. No, it can't.
Everything lives on the surface for 7 years. Doesn't get me
dies
sick.
The second it sees sunlight or a Lysol wipe.
Dave, that's like saying when you go into a 50-year-old house that's never been touched, like, oh, look at that 50-year-old soot on there. Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, for the record, I'm just going to gloss back to something before we get out of here. I will now go on record. I don't know how you feel, David, but after little Fauci's little slip there, China definitely made that to be released on the world.
You know what's funny is his interview made us more conspiratorial about the whole thing.
Yeah, I was completely fine. I just felt vindicated. Like, oh, look at this, the Department of Energy. Be like, who's that? I don't care. And then the next day, the FBI be like, told you guys. And then here it is. Nobody said that the government engineered. Nobody's asking you that question.
I was perfectly fine that you studied at a block away from a wet meat market that sold bat sandwiches. I was fine. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then you're like, nope. Definitely wasn't chemically engineered by China. Wait a minute.
Now, granted, I know they got to do that because of like all the social medias. Yeah, because I mess up at my job. I'm not always 100%. I've had a bad day. A bad day at a biolab. Well, the whole world dies. All right, guys, Look, I'll give you a little slack, a little government confidence.
Yeah, we've made mistakes. We're all people here.
We're all people.
Oh no, the virus got out that you were studying and mutating. Just saying.
People would.
So it kind of was bioengineered, wasn't it? Since we were funding the fact that we were mutating the virus to see how it reacts to things, and then it escaped. So it kind of was bioengineered in a way.
Yeah, nobody released it. It got out after it was engineered. Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern for the weekly show. YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. I'll be there. Dave will be there. And Fauci will be there. David, as always, thank you for your time. See everybody later.
The two best shows on Rumble, ours and Louder with Crowder.
Yeah, I cannot wait to partner up with that guy.
Thanks, everyone.
I will kill his show.